joyful hello to all of you. My name is Minku Bhutar, founder of the Circle of Joy that brings you self-mastery programs and retreats. It gives me great joy to bring to you this season's talk show, a series of interviews on choosing joy, secrets, and stories from all over the world. It is my diligent attempt to show you that joy is not a hockey-pocky, frivolous concept, but a discipline, a way of life much needed if you want to be resilient, radiant, and unstoppable like a runaway train. So subscribe to my channel so that you can tap into the wisdom of people from all over the world. I will see you there.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the 25th episode of this talk show, Choosing Joy, Secrets and Stories from Around the World. My name is Minku Bhutar, your host, and today I'm so excited to share with you all that this show just hit the 1,000+ subscriber mark in just under 11 months. And I take this opportunity to say I am so grateful to each one of you who keeps coming back to tune in, to watch, to learn, to support by sharing the wisdom of my speakers on your respective platforms. That, I think, is how we've grown together. It's really my earnest wish that these reflective conversations will help thousands of people to not only reach a space of stillness and clarity, but also to heal so that we will be able to choose joy over cynicism, over skepticism and despair that we have all felt recently. Because who are we? We are that and much more. Now, to have this very, very deep conversation, I have someone who is empowered to talk in depth about this subject. Who is I? I'm that. Now, he's a retired paramedic. And then with all the wisdom he's gained by avid reading and who he is, all of that and much more. Today, he's the author of his book, This Taste of Flesh and Bones. He's a blogger at thinktwice.me. M-E. And I just have to tell you that his website has some of the most fascinating stream of blogs I have ever read. So I do invite you all to check it out after you tune out of this interview later. He's also a featured contributor at BizCatalyst 360 Degrees. He's a guest blogger at pointlessoverthinking.com. But what gets me each time I have interacted with him is his humility. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you all the way from Canada, Arthur Russell. So happy to have you here, Arthur, today.
Very happy to be here with you and your audience, Minku. Thank you for inviting me.
You are so welcome. Now, in our last Zoom discussion, which was what, Arthur, almost 2 hours long, I think.
Yes, yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yes,
it was a pleasure.
Yes, and it was just amazing. Time just flew when we were last discussing on what do we need to bring over to our audience. And yes, I've been dying to share the gist of our talk to a global audience. Now, Arthur, there's a statement that you made that stuck with me.
Okay.
And I think you've documented this somewhere on your LinkedIn profile. You said, and I quote you, "I'm grateful for suffering that such caused me to go within and question my uninvestigated assumption." So yes, I found that fascinating. There's depth there. There's a story to be told. So tell us a little bit more about, say, your spiritual journey, the masters that you are influenced by, and
certainly,
who is Arthur Russell?
Well, that's such a deep question, and it's something that I hope that our discussion and what we both speak about, write about, will help others. We put that in quotation marks because we're all with oneness. Investigate their assumptions about what they really are. Ramesh, actually, I'll back that up. Most people know themselves or know about themselves by definitions. I love a line, a couple lines. Alan Watts, who was a noted philosopher, teacher, enlightened being, he wrote, "You can't get wet from the word water."
Mm.
Ramesh S. Balsekar stated it this way. He said, "No amount of description can replace the taste of a mango." So that's, both of those statements are referring to knowing ourselves at a much deeper level than name, form, content of your mind, nationality, race, job, financial status. Those are all the descriptions that will not get you to the taste, the knowingness, just being that which you are. So suffering is quite often the vehicle that takes us to a deeper level of knowing. And I think it's because, and I did share that with you about that I am grateful for suffering. It's not that we welcome it.
Yeah.
But I think during or through that suffering, we can want to transcend that body mind that is apparently going through such challenging circumstances. So in my case, one of the outstanding events was a sudden divorce. And most of us try to put these challenging events, we try to put, I call it putting Humpty Dumpty back together again. We want them back up on the wall. We want everything just fine. And I tried to do that. And then when I saw that wasn't going to work, I was led to reading more and more books about our essential nature, law of attraction also, which is connected to this. How is creation occurring? And so, yeah, I hope that's answered your question about suffering.
Yes, Arthur, even when you were talking about suffering, I feel there's a joy in embracing what comes through the suffering, because like you said, and I know that you talk about the transcendental self as well, and you've talked about it quite a lot in your blogs. And I have to tell you, Arthur, I really want to congratulate you. I love your blogs.
Oh, thank you. That again started spontaneously in 2016. I did not see it coming. And to me, what this is source speaking through the conduit, writing through, expressing is an easier way, expressing through the conduit called Art Russell and various 8 billion others.
Yes. And I love what you said, that it's not our titles, it's not who you are. In fact, there was a time in my life, Arthur, when I would actually say Minku Butter in this bodily form on this earth. Till I looked at it and I said, okay, it's sounding a little ridiculous, but that's exactly what it is. We took these bodies and we took a form. We were given a name just so that people could relate to it. But you realize, like you and I have talked about it, that finally we come to a restful space when the soul recognizes the soul.
Yes, I can relate to what you've shared there. When people used to, when I was in my career as a paramedic, working as a paramedic, when someone would say, "You are a paramedic," I would say, "I work as a paramedic." I didn't like the definitions of, and we know a name cannot be who we are. It's just a term to, as you said, point out so that we can deal with one another in this apparent world.
And you've also touched upon just before we came on here, and I'd like to bring that up and share. I'm excited to share that with our audience. You mentioned the word brittle happiness and brittle joy. Tell us a little bit more about it, because really, joy is brittle.
I'm glad you brought that up. I don't think joy is, but or some people call our deepest nature. I've heard Ramesh in his writings state, we have Sat Chit Ananda, and most people think of Ananda as defined as bliss, but he said more gurus, more spiritual teachers would say peace, a peace that passes understanding, like of the mind. I first heard that term, brittle happiness, from Rupert Spira, who's a noted teacher of non-duality, or he shares his pointings. And that's what I think most people become familiar with if they live long enough. They believe that the new house or the spouse or the job, financial status is going to bring happiness. And then one day there's that brittleness that occurs and they go, oh, I didn't see that coming. So that shows that their joy, they were confusing joy, a deep sense of knowing that which we really are, with circumstances. And as we know, circumstances are always in flux. They may appear day after day, they may appear for a period of time as though they're very stable, but ultimately deeper underneath, there's change waiting. And when we can ride out that change, our happiness moves from being brittle to being much a deeper, broader foundation.
A more joyful space, a more sustained feeling. And that's why I always, in my self-mastery sessions, I talk about joy so much more, Arthur, because it's a more sustainable, it's sustained feeling, which is an inward feeling.
Yes.
So I love that. Now, I'm going to take this to the title of your book.
Okay.
Because you said the taste of flesh and bones, and to my, frankly, to my vegetarian mind, it sounds like a very non-vegetarian title, if I may say.
It does, doesn't it?
So I'm very curious why this particular title. I'm just curious.
Sure. That title, I didn't know it was going to be for a book, but it occurred, and I relate this in the first few pages of the book. I was driving into Toronto to a dentist appointment, and I was going through a period of a lot of creativity flowing through me. And I wrote down, as I was driving, I was able to jot down this taste of flesh and bones. That was 2011. And I thought at the time, oh, is this going to be a poem about our deeper nature or something? And then that's where I just kept it. I was kind of mesmerized by it. And in 2019, all of a sudden, I knew really what the purpose was, and the book started to write itself. And what I mean by this taste of flesh and bones is, it's my knowing that we are so much more than this. This is one apparent incarnation. So this taste is, this is what it tastes like, as Art Russell, this time around. That's what it's meaning. And the book is pointing to a deeper, true self that must be experienced directly. Words cannot take us there. Any amount of description cannot take us there. But sometimes the pointings from people who've experienced it and have recognized, so known again, their true self, can be of help to us. That's where the title came from.
That's quite incredible. And I know that you say there's sometimes you are just guided and there's a download and you feel so compelled to sit down and write, and that's how your blogs come around.
It literally is. They just come. But this is what I love, and this is what I hope people can gain from this. People that may be questioning, how are they going to get where they desire to be in life? What I'm actually stating is, you can trust that if you claim what you desire, and I do claim to be a noted author and speaker, and I don't have to know the way. I didn't know we were going to have this interview until a month ago, till it came out of the blue. And what I'm hoping is that people will trust that if they claim what they desire, the way will come to them. And that's the way all of my articles, all of them, and there's almost 400 of them at this point, have come.
Incredible.
They come, and the more I trust, the more they come.
That is so beautiful. I sense a sense of surrender, a sense of embracing. And do I sense a little bit of law of attraction here, Arthur, in play,
Oh,
because you talk
strongly.
you talk a lot about it to invoke abundance, and
Mhm.
400 blogs
Yes.
is the ultimate of abundance. And I'm a true believer of this principle, and I've witnessed miracles, and I teach this as well. So Arthur,
Yes.
I'll just take a few, just a minute for the sake of our listeners here.
Okay.
And very briefly, let me just put the law of attraction in perspective. So it's the idea that everything, including your thoughts, is made of energy, and that
Yeah.
like energy attracts like energy. Does that make sense, Arthur?
It does now. And what's a very key, and a key understanding, and I've pointed this out through various quotes from noted successful people throughout history and current teachers of this. From the materialist paradigm, the law of attraction doesn't make as much sense. In fact, some people going, you're telling me I don't have to know how that I'm going to have the greater health or the greater wealth or the relationship I desire? And I'm stating yes. But the paradigm shift that really helps us understand this is a consciousness only reality. That's where the deeper spiritual teachings come together with the law of attraction. That where will our greater health, greater abundance, and that special relationship occur? In consciousness. So that helps us know that instead of thinking of ourselves as the body minds who have to work very hard to get here or there, trying to think their way to the achievement of their goal, this is, yes, action occurs. But in the consciousness reality model of reality, we are not the doer. Yeah. It appears very much, but we are awareness having an apparently human experience. That makes it easier. So we're allowing the universe to work through us towards the achievement of our apparent goal. And the Bible speaks of this, and I share some of that information in my book. Like the Bible has quotes that say, whatsoever things ye desire, believe that ye receive them, that you receive them, that you have, and you shall have them. So believing from the end, not picturing the way, not imagining the way, that I call that trying to push a chain uphill. It doesn't work. This is go to the end, visualize a scene that implies the completion or the achievement of your goal. People may be congratulating you, or you're visualizing, congratulations, Minku, you are now there's 10,000 viewers, and I'll be applauding that too, just like I did for your 1,000, which is wonderful. I'm so happy for the people that get a chance to view you and what you're sharing. Yeah. But yes, so I hope that addresses that.
Yes, absolutely, Arthur. Well put. And I do think that we can tap into our minds if we take this a little bit more technical for people who want to go into a little bit of depth here, that our mind's alpha, theta, and delta wave frequencies, right? It creates profound creativity. And I think what we need to understand is the intuitive guidance.
Yes.
That also correct, right?
And when that guidance comes, and when that guidance comes, to step courageously into that new circumstance, step forward, believe, because the universe is handing you, it's opening a doorway, and the more we open those doorways, those doors, the more doors present to us, and they're ripe with opportunity. So what we must step through, if we shrink back into the old self, we don't move anywhere.
Yeah, and seriously, it's missed opportunities because here is the whole universe, your intuitive guidance, your profound creativity is working to create coincidences. And I always say, if you don't find the doors, take a step out of the windows.
Definitely. Yes.
everything possible. So Arthur, at this stage, I would love to share with the audience. Do you have any tips? How does someone start to invoke abundance in their lives? What is the first one or two things that they can do? Just briefly.
Okay. I love how you've used that word invoke, because it's like an incantation.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest is what a lot of teachers of the law of attraction who know the material more deeply. We invoke from the highest when we begin our affirmations with I am. I am now, or I am, Bob Proctor used to say, I am now, so I am so happy and grateful that I am now enjoying better, improved health or wonderful health. I am. Now, I am is related so many times in the Bible. I am that I am. I am that which cannot be forgotten. I am that which cannot be taken away. All the definitions can be. And what's left? That which we truly are. So I would say, begin with I am. And we state it in the now. I am now enjoying a successful business as this or that. And you state it that you've got it now. Because when can it appear? Now.
In the
It
now.
cannot appear tomorrow. Tomorrow literally never comes. Our lives, our apparent lives, are lived now. We are the backdrop against which all the action takes place. So anything and everything only apparently occurs now. So for those who are concerned, where they go, what do you mean now? I don't have it now. When we state now, we're giving a clear example to our subconscious mind. And as you stated about the states of the levels of brain activity, we want to impress upon, we've been told this, when we're going to bed at night, when we're putting the body mind down for the night, we're getting into a lower state of mind, and it's more easily impressed. So I would also suggest that as people go to bed at night, instead of reworking the things of the day that went wrong, use that opportunity to impress the mind, the subconscious mind, with what we desire. Same goes for the morning, as the body mind is coming up from deep sleep into the waking state. Use those first few 5, 10, or 20 minutes to visualize what you desire already achieved, to basically get that blueprint impressed even more strongly into the subconscious mind.
That is amazing, Arthur. And I know that, from anything in any master that I've studied with, when you're sleeping and when you're just waking up, the mind hasn't kicked in and your subconscious is most awake. And that's a great time to send, even your journaling for that matter.
Yes.
It's the best time to do that.
Yes.
When your subconscious is awake and kicking. Now, there's another thing I want to add here, Arthur.
Okay.
I feel invoking abundance comes with an obligation to know what is it that we are seeking. Is it aligned to our values? Is it aligned to our life's purpose? And I think you have to sit with what you said, I am, or, just in different words, who am I? We have to sit in that self-inquiry.
Yes.
And I see that behind you, Arthur. I mean, there's no one better than Sadhguru Ramana Maharishi, right?
This is
have you changed actually, that? I can't quite see
I
that.
did. I did have Ramana Maharshi.
Yes, and I thought that was him.
He is now on a table in my bedroom. But this this one also so wise. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj.
That's who you have. That's your
but yes,
mentor.
and he also stated, stated in I Am That, what the mind has created, the mind can uncreate. So, but if we're believing, I like what you said about the I am, about Ramana Maharshi, about going to the heart, living from the heart. That to me would be from our essence. And then if we connect that to the law of attraction, what's our highest ideal that we desire to achieve? I think that would be basically our purpose, our highest purpose. And we create to the best ability when our goals benefit all.
Yeah.
It's very, and I know this is obvious in your show and our discussion, it's,
Thank you.
if we're making it about the body mind, we're kind of slipping down. That's a few steps down that ladder again. We're going to selfish motivation.
Absolutely.
That's not the way. Our goal should uplift all of us. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't want to turn into a holier than thou person. The truth of this is to live from that which we truly are. So question, when we're sitting with I amness, maybe in our daily meditation, knowing, are your actions, are they helping someone else?
Absolutely.
Are they lifting someone else? And all of our dealings, everyone must benefit. If there's any idea of taking someone, taking advantage, that is to be avoided, and we can do much better than that.
I think it's really time to move from a role of a consumer to a contributor, and,
Yes.
and just for the whole universe. So I just think, Arthur, we have to sit in that self-inquiry, and,
Yes.
and you know, I actually go to Ramana Maharishi's ashram is about 5 hours drive from where I live in Bangalore,
Yes.
India, and I do the 14-kilometer walk, like
Wonderful.
I said, around
Yes.
the Arunachala mountain. It is that heightened energy where somehow every single time I've done that, you fall into that self-inquiry. And
Yes.
you know what he said so beautifully? He said, let him find out to whom are the thoughts. Where do they
Yes.
arise from?
Yeah.
And then you realize that the answers
Yes.
can only come from the conscious self. Tell us a little bit more, Arthur, of your understanding of I am and I am that, which is away from the egocentric self.
Yes. Well, I wholly agree with, so it almost sounds like your walk is a very meditative, that's the whole goal of that. That's to be immersed in that I amness. To me, that's a daily practice of meditation too. For me, now this, I'm not saying right or wrong. Mine has been a minimum of 20 minutes for many, many years. And I believe that that is actually, the Bible states this too. It says, be still and know I am God. Now, we don't mean that in a blasphemous way. I don't mean that this character is an appearance in consciousness. I don't mean that Art Russell is or that any other one is, but collectively we are the universal expressing itself through many, many, many apparent forms. They're all gold. We know this analogy, gold, but is it a ring? Is it a bracelet? Is it a necklace? They can all have these apparent forms, but they're all gold. So for me, I know that meditation was one of the techniques. I didn't see this coming, but what it did, it started cracking open the persona of Art Russell, with whom I used to identify. I knew I couldn't be a name.
Yeah.
That was so easy, because a name it's just a string of letters or shapes put together. How it can't be what you are. And so that was very obvious to me. But our practice of being still every day and I even suggest starting with 5 minutes, and that can allow you to see that you are witnessing, or there is witnessing actually, of our thoughts, of our sensations. Sensations start and they stop while you're on the cushion or through your daily life. An emotion arises and it falls away. But when we turn our attention inward, see, most of us are habitually have an outward facing focus. So there's the world, and we believe that this is an autonomous self. When we turn our attention inward, the inward path, we can directly experience that which is aware of the thoughts, the images, the sensations, the perceptions. And that, as that gets invited to come deeper into our life, it does. And then we live from that center rather than the periphery. This brings me to and I did write it down, but I also have it in my book, I believe.
Oh, please.
It's a quote that I first found from Eric Butterworth, who was a minister in New York State. And it's a book that I read of his called Discover the Power Within You. And I don't know if he coined this phrase, but I like it.
Sounds familiar,
And the phrase is, God is a sphere whose center is everywhere and whose periphery is nowhere. Meaning we can't find it, but we know it within. It's a sphere. So wherever you are, it's the knowing. Where your family is, where 8 billion others are, is the center of God. It's quite a stunning realization when we know that's true. I would be leaving myself out of that if I didn't include myself. Absolutely. So I like that definition, but I would highly recommend sitting daily with some practice of meditation.
I totally agree with you, and you'll be quite surprised. When I talk in India, I am invited to address a certain group of people. Say I was addressing the Rotarians, which is made of CEOs and people who call themselves as having arrived, in the age group of 50 plus, and I was addressing maybe about 60 people in the room, and I just said, how many of you meditate or sit in that internalized presence of the divine, even for say 10 minutes? No hands went up. And I said 5 minutes and some hands went up. So I think this pauses that you talk about, and this opportunity, which I would say fixing the mind in your heart, as in Ramana Maharishi says, not move the mind to the heart, but fix the mind in the heart. And I think that's most powerful. Takes us back to what you said about just embracing the whole universe, and you are a speck and you are it, and you're one with everyone.
Yes, that unity. And it's you can feel it. That's how you know it. Now, the mind knows about things. So that's how it knows about the body, the mind, the apparent world. But this is direct knowledge when we turn within and we discover it. And then we can't really describe it. This is a thing where we actually know it by negation. We take away, I can't be this hand, I can't be this arm, I can't be this shirt, I can't be this body, I can't be my financial status, I can't be the nation that I live in, I can't be my race. And we go, well, who am I? As the question that Ramana, who am I? And he definitely was not meaning that people would put down all these descriptions. No, it was, what am I that is aware of all those descriptions?
I am pure awareness. I am that consciousness. I'm that bliss. I'm that in India, what they call the Satchit Ananda. And knowing also that the inherent happiness, even though we call it brittle, or the state of joy, it cannot be tainted by death and suffering. And that's where we started, right?
It's not. It's a very stable peace. It's not dependent on how your spouse is treating you, how your job is, Did you get a new car? Or do you have one that's 20 years old? It's not dependent on circumstance. We've been conditioned to believe that we're the body mind, and we are not. That's just part of the journey. But when we recognize, and here's the thing too, that your audience, I'm sure most of them probably know, we already are that.
Yes.
We cannot not be it.
Exactly.
So there's not a gradation of thinking, oh, somebody's realized. No person ever becomes realized, because with that realization, you awaken from the dream of personhood. It's a dream in which you're a person.
Yes.
You are not.
The waking
You are
state.
the awareness in which this character, your character, appears.
And is playing a role, and it's that
Yes.
waking state which is but a dream.
And what's wonderful for people is to see when they realize that here and now is all there is, it can bring them to the point of questioning, okay, now it's a double-edged sword. We don't want to be attached to our achievements, but this also, the trade-off is also, then that means I really wasn't the one that I've been blaming or carrying shame about some event that apparently happened. Now, it doesn't mean that we go where we don't, it actually it elevates our level of morality and proper behavior towards others, because when we recognize the oneness throughout, we would never lift a hand in any way to harm anyone.
And
so it
forgiving.
elevates us.
And forgiving. I think
Yes,
we
yes.
we carry the load of injury,
Yes.
of inherent injuries, and these stories in our head
Yes.
of we being the victim. And all of a sudden, in that oneness, you find forgiveness so easy.
Yes.
And then
And
you're rooted in gratitude, and it's
yes.
beautiful.
And quite often that gratitude is needed to be extended to ourselves, where we realize I was doing the best that I could at the time.
Yeah.
Once we know better though, then we apparently do better. Everything improves with this. Everything. This is all the gurus talk about. This is the reason for an incarnation. It's such a unique opportunity to discover that which you truly are. And some would say we're not even that. I mean, we don't really mean, some would just say I am. And then we back it up even farther, and we are prior to even the thought arising, I am. And you don't have to think one thought to know that you exist.
Yes, beautiful.
Now, yes, that's the freedom.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you so much. It's amazing to have had this conversation with you. And I would love to invite you back again, and let's go into this deeper. Thank you for being.
I'd love to.
Thank you, Arthur, for the trust and the faith, and for throwing light into our very existence. Who am I? And hopefully we have managed to invoke our audience into a journey of self-inquiry. I hope so.
I hope so.
It's a realization that I'm going to leave everyone with before we go into the lighter terrain of the Maya world with the rapid fire round, that we are not the body because it decays, and you're not the mind because that will decay with that body, and you're not the personality or the emotions because these will vanish as well.
Yes.
So I am that. Thank you so much, Arthur.
You're very welcome.
If you're ready for a little lighter, maybe
let's do it.
Shake up a little bit after that very intense investigation of ourselves. Okay, so if you're ready, coming up for you the first question, spontaneous, authentic answers, which I know you will be. Okay, so a smile on your lips and joy in the heart. What would do that for you?
Deep, deep moments where I know without doubt that which I truly am. I have moments here where I'm brought to tears with how beautiful this is, but they're beautiful tears. It's like I feel it's the word connection doesn't even apply because it implies a movement. And this is just, there's this, and it's so beautiful. So that, and other people's happiness.
Yeah.
Now I know that sounds corny, but I've learned from my own ego structures that my happiness, if I'm trying to get this guy to that happiness, it's a chore. I'd rather let it arise spontaneously. But yes, feeling, knowing God is a deep source for me, deep source of happiness.
That's beautiful. And I tap into what you're saying. I sometimes have those tears in there of pure joy. Okay, if you could finish the sentence for me, where ego finishes, starts what?
If you're meaning where ego is gone,
finishes, when you
then the real
starts what?
Then the real I is there. Real I, when ego has collapsed, and I call it like a house of cards. And once you start questioning, can I really be that guy? You start questioning it at the bottom. That whole deck of cards of the ego is house of cards. It's gonna collapse. And that, when you're realizing you are a no thing rather than working so hard to be a somebody, then that's wonderful. Where the ego ends, the real I stands shining.
Wonderful.
Effulgent.
I tap into that aura right now. Coming up, the next question, enlightenment, in whichever way you interpret it, for a serious seeker, is it a possibility or is it a far-fetched dream? Very briefly.
Enlightenment, it's very real, but it can't be arrived at by the mind, and it can't be arrived by reading 100 books, 1,000 books, or going to ashrams for the rest of your life. Those may point you, but the recognition of enlightenment, that we are not the body and the mind that we've been conditioned to believe we are, that's what's real. The rishis, the gurus, defined what is real as that which is unchanging.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, we can take a look at our body. We know, am I the same Art that I was at 5, 10, 15, 45, 55? No, that's the changeful. We are that which does not change.
So it's a possibility.
Oh, definitely.
It is a possibility.
But this is one place where effort, if you're trying to add and become like a spiritual person, no, that's not the way. That would be adding to the persona. What we want to do is we're peeling away, and what we'll find, they sometimes call it an onion, the layers are being peeled away.
If you find there's nothing in there.
And there's nothing. There's nothing.
Next question here coming up, Arthur. Fast forward to say 2032, and I know this is again, throwing you not in the now that we talked about, but just let's play along a little bit. How do you see yourself in your inner scene in say 10 years from now?
I'm glad you addressed this. Continuing to speak and write about this, my favorite subject, hoping that more and more people are being drawn to the teachings of pointings of mine, but more importantly, there are so many others. Ramana Maharshi, you can read books about him now. You can, Rupert Spira, Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, Ramesh S. Balsekar. You can go out and get those books now. But in 10 years from now, I hope that I'm doing this and we're celebrating. Maybe you and I are having a reunion 10 years out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we have opportunities for a reunion coming up in the Tampa Bay, wonderful space that Dennis is creating.
Very nice of him.
So I look forward to seeing you there, hopefully all the way from India. Thank you so much, Arthur. That was absolutely, I'm sure our audience is going to be spellbound and it's going to start them on a journey. How does that feel for you, Arthur?
This is definitely a milestone for me too, and I've been thrilled to be invited on your show. And I hope it does spark some interest for people.
Yes.
That to me, that would be the goal achieved if someone viewing this has gone, who am I really?
Yes, I seriously wish that for all our listeners. Now,
I do.
where can someone find your book?
They can find This Taste of Flesh and Bones available through Amazon.
Okay.
And I hope that if anyone does follow that path to look into it, that they find it worthwhile. That even if they get one or two pointings from it, and then continue their own apparent journey. We don't really have to go anywhere. Journey is such a loaded term. We don't have to go anywhere, but there's a recognition in consciousness that must be recognized, and then we realize what we really are.
In the now, in the now.
Yes.
So thank you, Arthur, once again. And
Thank you.
I close this episode on a very light note with a piece of advice. I read that learn the laws of attraction by all means, but never teach it to your mother-in-law, because I heard one say recently, I want my son to have all the things I can't afford, then I want to move in with him and my daughter-in-law.
Wonderful.
So God forbid. And so on this beautiful note of laughter and joy, join me, Arthur, to say bye to all our beautiful listeners.
Thank you, viewers and listeners. Thank you very much for showing up. We appreciate you.
Yes, and absolutely in gratitude. Please keep following, and I hope there's wonderful takeaways for all of you. Love you all, and see you in the next episode. And thank you, and bye for now.